This is how it happened. This is how the Batman died.
Hi, this is HondaDASH, and I'm back again to give you another one of my world-famous and totally biased game reviews. This time, it's the long-awaited third Rocksteady Studios game, Batman Arkham Knight. As we all know, Arkham Asylum, the first Batman game from Rocksteady, had the sense of a fresh beginning for the superhero action games. Batman Arkham Knight has a sense of finality, revolutionary striking counting fighting style with powerful new moves and even smarter enemies. It expands on Arkham City's open world with a larger, more detailed version of Gotham. At every opportunity, Knight speaks of horrific deeds he might perform, doing his best to drive fear into Batman's heart throughout the open world adventure game. Scarecrow, being the main bad guy, similarly trades on Batman's doubts, attempting to convince the troubled hero of his own impotence at every turn. Saying things like, "All eyes, all hope upon a man who fails his friends," calling out Scarecrow's image throughout Gotham's public networks and audio speakers, reminding Bruce Wayne that he too bears responsibility for the loss of his loved ones. For the first time in the series, you can leap into the Batmobile, into the iconic rocket tank on wheels, and zoom down the streets, drifting around tight turns and pursuing key vehicles as they speed away. The driving itself is slick and satisfying, as long as you can overlook Rocksteady's tendency to wrest away the camera control to show you some dramatic sight or another. Yet there is no beating the incredible rush of using your line launcher to fling yourself through the sky. And it's worth mentioning that taking to the air is usually faster than something behind the wheel. As a result, Arkham Knight is constantly trying to justify the Batmobile's presence, forcing it upon you at nearly every opportunity, to which I have no problem considering that we are on a small island going from building to building, to having a little city and a lot bigger to having the Batmobile and all of Gotham to protect. Particularly in the latter third of the story, you're frequently forced to take part in vehicular battles against remotely manned drones. When you first engage this kind of combat, which turns the Batmobile into an agile tank, it's a delight and the graphics are stunning. The Batmobile is also the centerpiece of a number of mediocre boss encounters, all manner of puzzles, ridiculously hard cat and mouse games with superpowered tanks, and even some of the Riddler's more optional challenges scattered across the city. But if you're like me, you have to beat the entire game. That includes side missions, and the Riddler's final part is tedious at best. Don't be surprised should you end up muttering at the end, saying to yourself, "Too much Batmobile." Arkham Knight is at its best when you're given the freedom of movement you both need and deserve. Gotham has been deserted by most of the citizens due to the Scarecrow's most recent threat to release a hallucinogenic toxin into the streets and even the entire world. The bat symbol cuts across the sky in an impressive silhouette, drawing you towards the next mission objective. Batman is beautifully animated and an absolute joy to control. You soar towards the Man-Bat and tackle the shrieking beast in one of the game's many side missions, and zip higher to higher vantage points only to descend onto a rioter and deliver a hard kick, are the moments that represent Arkham Knight at its very best. Batman glides through Gotham with the confidence of an experienced predator. There's an astounding amount of flavor and voiceover. Enemies remark on the number of fallen comrades that they've counted during stealth encounters, and the annoyingly chatty thugs swarming the streets have more speaking lines than any number of film scripts. Very few games are this rich in audio-visual details. But don't forget, Batman is sticking to his moral code and isn't killing anybody in his rampage across Gotham streets. Bruce Wayne is not a murderer, and this game reminds you of that. The Batmobile is using non-lethal rounds, you are told, and when you run over criminals, a little zap lets you know that you're not squishing them under your tires, just giving them an electrical jolt as you pass, which I had to admit was really funny, as you power slide around a corner and hit about a dozen of them. Batman lives by a non-killing code, and Rocksteady tries to keep this code, but also having an emotional conflict that figures heavily in the story, then letting you plow through crowds of bad guys without any consequence. And again, this is a story about a billionaire in a batsuit, so perhaps there is only so much plausibility to be expected. It might be hard to believe that Batman isn't sending men to the morgue during Arkham Knight's melee battles, but the series of rhythmic hand-to-hand combat continues to set the high bar. Batman is frightening, almost otherworldly creature as he tumbles and slides from one target to another, and his fists exhibit some raw power of a hammer or a club. Stealth combat sequences, which offer astounding flexibility in how you approach enemies, are as good as ever, slinking through vents, taking down a goon, and zipping away as rewarding as sabotaging your armed foes with your disruptor rifle, causing their weapons to malfunction, leaving their owners open to attack. Smart level design and a large array of gadgets, a remote electrical charge which you can get early in the game in the evidence locker in the GCPD, also the machine that emulates villains' voices, a hacking device, and so forth, keep each predator room as interesting as the last. Batman's many talents give rise to a terrific amount of variety. He's a scientist and a detective, in addition to being Gotham's scowling savior. He also has a computer that answers most every imaginable question, except the ones that drive the plot, of course. And he possesses the memory of an elephant rather than a bat. A nice skill to have in solving a murder mystery that serves as one of the game's better side plots. Arkham Knight finds great ways of incorporating these talents into the gameplay. For instance, you can recreate a kidnapping by activating the returning Bat Vision mode and scouring the streets for clues. The crime's events are depicted on the screen, allowing you to forward and reverse through them as you will search for answers. Puzzles like this are clever, and related tasks such as scanning corpse tissue to find anomalies make you feel like an actual participant in a real forensic analysis. You team up with comrades like Nightwing and Robin to deliver cooperative beatdowns and perform all number of secondary missions, which incorporate villains like Penguin, Two-Face, and Firefly. Arkham Knight is loaded with these villains, actually including the one that gives its name, Arkham Knight himself. His identity is meant to be the game's most greatest mystery and conspicuous foreshadowing in a reliance on age-old storytelling cliches. Make every reveal as surprising as the next. Your two primary goals to stop is Scarecrow's evil plot and to confront an unmasked Arkham Knight. Waiting for this game, I have given it a 10.0, and I hope that this makes it fourth, because it probably will if you've seen the entire game and seen the ending. So that concludes this part of my video review. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you want, please hit that like button and follow me and see when I post that other videos are up. And always leave your questions and comments below, and I always like constructive criticism and feedback. So this is HondaDASH, signing off.